Hello, everybody in Facebook land. Happy Thursday to you. Can you believe we're already towards the end of another week? I can't believe we're already halfway through October. We're still getting in the 80s here in Western Tennessee. It's crazy. Summer's going out with a bang for sure. But I am super grateful to be here one more day and to see well, I can't see all of you, but to be with all of you. Just super, super grateful and excited to bring you another awesome guest that I look forward to introducing you to and letting you hear from her. I just love this time of day because I get to remind you guys, because I'm probably the only one that's going to tell you this, but you are worthy. You are worthy of love, respect, and success. And you want to know why you are? Because God said, I'm going to send my only son to the cross in your place. That makes you worthy, the blood of his son. Be encouraged, whatever season you're in, your story is not over yet, not by a long shot. With that being said, I would like to introduce you to Kat Watson. Kat is the author of Shine, Transform Your Thinking About Yourself. How many of us need that? I'll raise my hand quickly. Shine is a 31-day devotional workbook that combines the most effective principles of life coaching, psychology, self-help, and the Bible. Kat is also a transformational coach. Now, before I introduce Kat, what I'd like to do is read the introduction of Shine to you verbatim. So let's read that together. Many of us view ourselves in ways that are less than complimentary. We feel inadequate, like we should be more and do more. These feelings of inadequacy may be across the board or in just one area. We may experience them during certain seasons of life, or they may be our reality all of the time. We find that we can be our own worst enemies. We want to believe in ourselves, but the inner critic can be so loud. The negative feelings can be so insistent. They hold us back and drag us down. I know this from personal experience. For many years, my feelings of inadequacy controlled me. I would feel huge waves of shame. I was convinced that I was flawed and that something was wrong with me. I hated myself and fantasized about cutting myself. Yet, all the while, I maintained an exterior of successful careers in public relations and television. I was in charge of projects at church. I organized all kinds of activities. At some point, I knew I had to work on myself. I saw a therapist. I found powerful ways to apply Bible scriptures. I gleaned insights from self improvement books. These were all helpful, but I felt stuck. Then in my late 50s, I trained to become a life coach. This is when I made the most progress. The coaching principles worked like nothing else, especially as I saw that they were reflections of biblical truths. Joining the two together changed my entire way of thinking and subsequently my life. From an overflowing heart, I write this book to share what I hope will help you transform your thinking. The convergence of the most effective principles of coaching, psychology, self-help, and the Bible is what sets this book apart. Also, this information is not a means in itself, but a springboard for your own personal journey. It's a devotional workbook in which each chapter has questions that may generate new insights about the scriptures and yourself. There are pages in the back of the book where you can summarize your learning. Well, I will say I relate to quite a bit of that, and I am confident that many of you that are watching this can relate to a lot of it too. I look forward to digging into this. Kat, welcome to the You Are Worthy Network.
Thank you so much, man. I was listening to that and I thought, is that me? I was like, well, that sounds so good. Did I write that? But yes, I just like, man, it really hit me again, my journey. And I appreciate you, Steve, sharing. You can relate to that because I think many people can, but they're not really talking about it.
I think it's fascinating, Kat, because you know, you and I know a little bit of each other. Um, Kat and I are in the same family of churches, and we just had this very encouraging conference about 6 weeks ago that we saw each other at for the first time in a few years. And that's what's great about believers, right? You can pick right back up even if you haven't seen each other in years. Um, but I think it is fascinating that you say in the introduction that you tried all these different things, and you didn't say they didn't help. It moved the needle a little bit, but it was combining what you learned from the Bible over many, many years with the foundational principles of coaching that it really became. I don't think you said aha, but I'll use the aha. It really seemed to move the needle significantly for you. You know, I don't want to. I've already started down this road, but I'm gonna reel myself back because
Okay.
I'm gonna use it as a teaser because I can't wait to get into this. But we want to learn about you first. What part of the world are you coming from?
Well, I was born in California and lived there for 12 years. And my mom had gotten a divorce and remarried. So, with my stepdad, we moved out to Florida. So, a lot of my time, really, since then, I've lived in the South. My husband and I met, we were high school sweethearts, and we met in Jacksonville Beach, Florida. And we got married when we were 20. There's so many great stories along the way of how God knocked on my door and orchestrated all of this. It's just amazing. But I will tell the cliff notes. We moved to Alabama for him to go to college in Montgomery when we were in our 20s. We moved to Atlanta, and that's where I raised my children. And then God kind of opened a door and we moved back to Alabama, and now I'm in Auburn, Alabama. Was that a longer answer than you're looking for? I'm not sure, but
Whatever you
that's
wanted
where
to
I
say.
am. That's right, Auburn, Alabama.
Auburn, Alabama. What they call that? Down on the plains, right?
The
Is that right?
the loveliest village on the plains. That's what they
The
call it.
loveliest village
That's
on the
what they call it.
plains.
Is
Okay.
too, because because my husband got a job in Columbus, Georgia. That's where he was working, and we looked at houses in Columbus. And if anybody likes Columbus, that's awesome. But we looked at houses in Columbus, and then we came over to Auburn because the church we were thinking of being a part of was there. And I was like, oh, this is so wonderful. And we were going to buy a house in Columbus. We really were. We put an offer on one. I put a contract on one, but something happened, and we ended up in Auburn.
Something tells me the housing market is much better than Auburn anyway, but I could be wrong.
The houses were high here when we moved
Oh,
here.
they
Yes,
were
they
high.
were.
Okay.
They were. We took a
Okay.
loss when we left Georgia. We took a loss, and then we had to pay top dollar here.
I
Yeah,
would not have expected that. That's a whole
yeah.
different conversation. But okay, so tell us how many kids and your grandparents too, right?
I am. I am. That's so exciting. Yes, I have three children. I have a daughter who's married, and I have two grandchildren with that family. My granddaughter is 15, my grandson is 13, and they live out in San Francisco area. Wah! But we
A
make
long way.
we make sure that we see them frequently. And then my son and daughter-in-law are in Atlanta. They've moved around, but they're in Atlanta now, and I'm going to, they're going to have their first baby around Thanksgiving Day. And so I
Oh
am
my
really
goodness.
excited about that. And then my younger daughter is in Atlanta as well. So some children are close by, and well, some are further away.
Yeah, well, but it is an exciting season for sure. Um,
Yes.
Kat was mentioned in San Francisco and how far away it is. For those of you not from the United States, because I know that some are watching in different parts of the world, um, you might as well say from Auburn, Alabama to San Francisco is almost like traveling to the other side of the world. It's on the other side of the state, long,
Right.
long
Probably
way
close
away
to
for
what,
sure.
3,000 miles, something like
Oh my
that.
goodness. Yeah,
Yes,
that you need an oil change as soon as you get there if you drive it.
that's true.
3,000 miles. But so what do you like to do for fun?
Ah, well, my husband and I love to bike, bicycle. Not, let's qualify that. My husband and I love to bicycle. That's one of our current passions. I mean, we can't do long distances, but I think it's just such a wonderful thing to get out there, outside. You're getting exercise. You get to actually cover some territory. You get to go places. We love to do the rails to trails, so I like to do that. I'm trying to think of, what else I could say as far as fun goes. I think some of the other things are more normal. I love to do yard work, love to get with friends, love to read books. I love to read books. So I'll probably after, somewhere down the line, I'll be like, oh yes, that's what I love. But that's what I'm going to say right now.
Okay, okay. Good variety for sure. Um, so you had this professional background for many, many years. How did the transition happen from professional workforce to author, coach? Was there something in between? Kind of take us through that journey.
There was a lot. There was a lot because how should I say this? It's just crazy. I had this dream of going into broadcasting, and I went to three different colleges and ended up getting a degree in sociology. But I had a lot of broadcasting experience in classes, and so long story short, when my husband and I got married, and he wanted to go back to college after I graduated from college, we had been married about 2 years at that time. I couldn't find a job. And so I just ended up working at childcare. But I really tried to do my best wherever I was. And so with those little 3-year-olds that would run around and you try to sit them down, they were like whack-a-moles, they kept on jumping up, but I created this great curriculum and program for them to learn and got them in a routine. And so tried to do my best everywhere. And it was really cool because we were in Montgomery, Alabama. We had moved there for my husband to go to college, and just through contacts and things like that, I got a job in public relations at a local college and a Christian college, and quickly moved up to the director of public relations there. And it was a perfect job for me. I'm creative. I like to organize, come up with ideas. And so it covers a lot of different things that you do. So I did that until I had 3 children. And then I was like, okay, we need to take a little break here, raise these children. They were like 3 children, 3 and under. And so I took a little break. And then when I went back to work after about maybe 8 years, or no, longer than that, but my children were around that age range. When I went back to work, I I said, I want to go, if I'm going to go back to work, I'm going to go in something I really want to work in. I was going to work part-time. And I somehow, I just, looked in the yellow pages. People don't even know the yellow
What
pages
is
are. I
that?
looked in a directory of, different employment opportunities, different businesses. And I saw a television production company, and I called and, talked to her, and she says, we don't have any openings. You can send in a resume. And like 8 months later, they called me.
Mm.
And so I started working at the bottom of this organization. It's a small nonprofit, doing something kind of like what you're doing, Steve, but this was inspirational stories of teenagers who had overcome difficulties through their faith. And started working on that, worked all the way up until I was in charge of all the creative content. And so I was just having a great time doing that, do that for a long time. And but when we moved here to Auburn, I continued working for a little while, but I realized it was time. The television job is kind of like the golden handcuffs in some ways, because if you're doing a series, if you're on a schedule, you've got to put that show out. You can't, Thanksgiving Day, you got to work because, it's got to go on the air. So I decided to start volunteering for our church. And it was a small church. They, right at the time, we didn't have any staff at that time. So that's what I'm still doing. I've been doing that for over 10 years, just helping with the church. And then about 7 years ago is when I started getting into just felt like, I don't know, it's just a point in my life where I said, I really believe I can do something else. I really, I really want to do something else. And my heart was just really moved. It was just like this point in time, because sometimes you're so busy you can't think about it, but it was a point in time. So that's a long answer, but that's how I got into the life coaching. I started studying, and as you said, it was a great fit.
Okay, so tell us the name of your coaching business and who is your ideal client?
My name is Broad Tree Coaching. It's an LLC, and my ideal client, I think, and especially as you were reading my introduction, I really think is someone like me. Someone who, a
Mm,
lot of times is maybe they're high functioning. They're not always. I really want to help anybody who's overcoming their feelings of inadequacy. But I think about the ideal client. It's somebody who, they just can't seem to get away from that loud inner voice. They have inner battles going on. They can't seem to break free of that inner battle, but it's hard to tell anybody what's really going on a lot of times. And you always feel like too, like, oh, I shouldn't be working on myself. There's too many other important things to do if you have kids, whatever. So I think that is my ideal client, is somebody who needs it, who needs to break free, needs to overcome, needs to shine, but they have not found the time or the motivation to work on themselves.
so is there a kind of a common denominator of when people finally reach out to you? What makes them reach out to you? Is it when the kids are gone? Is it when they've hit rock bottom? Or is it a variety of different places?
It definitely is a variety of different places. It can be, I've had a client who's, chronically ill and having a very hard time coping. So, and self-esteem issues are very much a part of that. I am having an elderly client who, making that transition and just needing someone to help with that transition when you can't do as much as you used to do. And there again, you're not feeling great about yourself because all of a sudden you can't do the things you used to do. So, I mean, there's a range. I have had, a woman come to me and um, say, I've spent this many years just being a great mom, being a great employee. Now it's time to work on myself. So she got to that point. So yeah, it's a wide range of reasons.
Yeah, I would suspect so. And you've been doing that for, you said 7 years?
Since 2018, yes.
Okay. And are you still as passionate about it as when you first started?
I think I'm much more passionate about it because I wasn't sure what I was getting into. And when you
Mm,
start studying coaching, they said, no, you can't tell the client anything. You can't give them any input. You can't give them advice. And I'm thinking, okay, because I'm thinking I want to help people. But the process of coaching, and my book reflects this, where I ask a lot of questions, so maybe too many questions. You don't have to answer them all. But I'm trying to build awareness. I'm trying to get people to see what is the root of the problem, what's really going on. And that's what I'm so in love with coaching, because it really helps you get in touch with who you are and what's going on with you and what will work for you to get over your obstacles.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, do you have a variety of coaching packages or is it kind of one-on-one, as long as they want to do it? Is it a variety? Tell us a little bit about your offers that you have for folks.
I think what I do is I sit down with somebody and we just have that introductory phone call. and see what it
Mhm.
is they need. Because yes, I do packages, but it's going to depend. I have a a man that I've just started, and he decided what's going to work for him is 3 months of twice a month. So that's what we're
Okay.
starting out, and then we're going to reevaluate. And so there is a package for that. But someone else, I have another client who goes every, yeah, every week, and
Yeah.
so I do have, and we can talk about this later. We don't have to talk about it now, but I also have a book club, and so there is there's a price for that as well.
Okay. Okay. And I want to get to your book in just a second, but I want this one's going to be interesting because I know you a little bit. I want you to tell the viewers a little bit about the results you get. And here's how we're going to do that. I want you to think about the your overall clientele over the 7 years. And if you could describe in just 3 words how they felt before they started coaching with you. In other words, they're entering that first coaching session with you. I want you to think of 3 words to describe how they felt. And then I want you to think of 3 words to describe how they felt on the other side of your coaching. Does that make sense?
It does, it does. So let's see. I know one word, of course, that they would feel um, is inadequate. Another word I would say that they feel is stuck. But I think another word they might use is, it's two. I'm going to hyphenate it. Under siege. You do feel like
Ooh,
there's a battle you're trying to fight, and you just feel like you're losing this battle.
okay. So let me make sure I got that right. Inadequate, stuck, and under siege.
Yes.
I love that word, by the way. That's great. Okay. And then on the other side of getting your help?
I think on the other side, and I want to say this because even though my book is a 31-day devotional, so it makes it sound like in 31 days you're going to be fixed. And of course, we're talking about my coaching now, and not necessarily the book, but the content is the same. So reprogramming takes time.
Oh, yeah.
So there are definitely changes, but it's not always like, just like, oh, now I'm just like this
No.
completely different person. But I will
Right.
say that I believe that my clients feel equipped. I feel like they feel hopeful, and I feel like they feel appreciative. And I got to say one more, because I really feel like they have more faith in God, because that's where a lot of it comes from. I'm sorry, I had to throw it in there because that's so
Yeah.
important. It's such an important part of it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Give me one more word before they worked with you then. Let's complete it. 4 and 4.
I think they feel, somewhat hopeless. Maybe that's, part of the
Okay.
being under siege. Yeah.
So let's look at this for just a second, and then we'll move on to the book. So from inadequate to equipped, from stuck to appreciative, from under siege to faithful, from hopeless to hopeful. Quite a significant difference.
Right.
I know you wouldn't have bragged on yourself, so I wanted to let people see the skills that you have. So we've accomplished that now. You need to be recognized for the great work you're doing. That's why I did that.
I appreciate it. I really do feel like God works through me. So
Well,
I'm always like, wow, okay, they're making progress. I mean, I know I'm doing what I'm doing, but it definitely takes more than me.
I expected you would deflect to God as well. You should, but
Anyway.
anyway. Um, let's move on to the book. So, and I love the shirt, by the way, with shine on it. That's awesome.
That's my program. You know, when you work
Uh,
on the book with me, you get shine and who you are. Yes, thank you.
Awesome. Tell us about the inspiration of the book and tell us a little bit about the process of writing it.
Oh man, it's so funny. The book, so it's a good for any of you out there who are doubting yourself in some way. I think this is a good uh, inspiration for you to just try doing something because the book started as a set of blogs, posts, let's say posts. I just thought, oh, on social media, I'm going to do 31 posts about learning to love yourself. And so I started, I think, on a January 1st, and I went through January 31st, and I wrote one every day. I'm like, how did I do that? It's hard to write.
Mm,
But I, so I wrote these posts, and each had different topics. And then maybe 2 years later, I was thinking, what am I going to do? I said, I've got this. I think I'm going to write a book with these. I've already got them written out, so it shouldn't take
mm.
long. Well, a year later, and I mean, I was working on it consistently, but there's so much more that goes into writing a book than you realize. Figuring out what your tone is going to be, figuring out what the format is going to be. I did a lot of research. As I said, it's the best concepts, the best principles from psychology, and so I didn't want to just put things out there. Psychology, self-help, and so I researched each one of, and the chapters are short, but I got a principle out there, and I got a quote from somebody in a lot of cases, so you can explain this. I'm not just saying this is what works. This is what many people say works. So you know what, Steve, I don't know if I answered your question. I've gotten lost in my my explanation here. What do I still need to say?
How would you say the process of
Uh-huh.
shine helps someone?
I think I think that the process of shine, there are three elements to the book. There are three elements. One is we talk about embrace, and this is part of every of the devotionals, every of the 31 devotionals ends in a prayer, and you pray a version of using these three elements. First, it's embrace. Help me to embrace myself. And this is not being conceited. It's a recognition of how God made you. So, it's learning more just to appreciate what you do, what you can do, and what you can do, and how God made you, who you are, and your characteristics, your abilities, and so that's one of the things the book does, or as people go through as they're doing the book, is they're learning to appreciate who they are, and it goes through everything from just figuring out what makes your heart sing. When you talked about what I enjoyed doing, what just really clicks for you, to who you
Mhm.
were as a child, and going back and saying, okay, that tells me something about myself. So learning these different things, and then the second one is learning to give yourself grace. Oh, this is so huge. We know this, but man, it's so hard to give ourselves grace.
Oh
It's
yeah.
so hard not to think that we don't measure up, or being upset with us when we don't live up to our own expectations, or we look around at others and we seem like we're falling short. So learning to have compassion on ourselves, to be gentle with ourselves, to be able to be vulnerable and real. Um, I think these are very important. That's the second thing is people go through the book that they work on. And then the last part is help me to believe in my place. And I believe God has a
Mhm.
purpose for each one of us. And so, as you look through it, trying to figure out, why did God give me these characteristics? Why did he, what is he doing? And so I think that, constantly saying, help me believe in my place, help me to believe that even though I don't look like this person over here, he has something for me to do. So you do that through the reading of the principle, you answer questions, you do the prayer, and there's the Bible concept that's undergirding it. So that's what the
I
book
love
does.
it. I admit I have my copy of Shine. I have not gotten into it yet, but I do look forward to it, especially now that you've described those three elements, which I could elaborate all day long on those three elements. But it definitely sounds like an intriguing and inspiring read and exercise. I'm interested. Well, first of all, tell us where you can find it. Is it just on Amazon or is it on other
Right
places?
now, nope, it's just on Amazon. Unless you can catch me, I do sell at events if I can. I'm selling at a singles conference in Atlanta coming up, but or unless you're in Auburn, uh,
Yeah.
otherwise it's on Amazon. It's $10, not bad.
Yeah, and we'll send your link. We'll put your links in the description when we're done. Yeah, I feel fortunate because I have one of those copies in person, so I'm blessed for sure. Um, so okay, you had successful career, mom, grandmother, wife, not necessarily all in that order, of course. 7 years as a successful coach, now a successful author. It sounds so great, but I know there had to have been a season or two where I mean, you've already alluded to it in your introduction of your book, but could you describe a season in your life where you didn't feel very worthy?
Just one season? I have to narrow it down to
Yeah,
one.
I know it's so hard, right?
Um, I think. Oh, Steve, that's so hard to decide on a season. But I
Well,
think no, because I think all along the way there have been seasons. But I guess because I've already talked about some. I think I'm going to say even now because
mm,
because it's a season where, as I am getting older, things are changing. I myself don't have the same energy level sometimes as I used to have, and I'm being pulled in different directions. We have two elderly fathers and grandchildren in California, and I've made
mm,
my peace with, but that's been part of my growth that's had to happen, feeling insecure. I'm not a good daughter because I'm not out there with my dad, or just feeling. And then, like I said, I also help with the church. So I think even in this season, I can feel insecure that I'm doing well. I can feel insecure about my book about insecurity. So
yeah, yeah, that's real.
So, I think it's real. I have a lot of tools, and I will say, the more I do the book with people, that's why it's good to be in a book group, I think. But the more I do the book with people, the more it cements in me, my ability to fight the insecurities.
I really appreciate that response. And I'll tell you why. There's no right or wrong answer to that question. It's your answer is your answer. Um, Somebody I interviewed, might have been earlier this week actually, when I asked that question, they said, "Are you kidding me? I have those feelings 2, 3 times a week."
Mhm.
And I love that answer. And then I got up Tuesday, just had my quiet time and everything, but I still felt discouraged. I was a little down, and I was like, I don't want to go to the gym today. And that's what I do after my quiet times. I go to the gym, and I'm like, I don't want to go, and it's not a day I'm supposed to skip at all. And I got there, I made a video of it just to be real with people that it happens to all of us.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I so appreciate that answer of I'm in that season right now. It
Mhm.
comes and goes. And I also appreciate you saying, we all need tools in our tool belt. We can't do this alone. God never intended that. So whether it's a book club, whether it's a D group, whether it's a prayer group, whatever it looks like to you, just don't deal with your emotions and your mindset alone. That's where we get in trouble, is trying to do it alone. So I so appreciate that answer. Kat, what is next for you? Is it more of the same, or is there something new on the horizon that you can give us a little peek into? Tell us what's next.
Ooh, that's a good question. And I don't completely know the answer, but I do know that my husband is retiring at the end of this month. And so it's going to be a new season for us. I'm super excited to see what that's going to be. Some of it will be spending time with family, having more time to do some mission related things for God. Um, I, but as far as my professionally, I think I'm going to keep on going and just, I think because I've been in business development groups for coaches and, they give you lots of ways that you can build your business. But I think what I'm finding is I need to build it more. I just need to be more organic and just watch. I put myself out there, but I watch for the open doors and watch for the leading where God is taking me, because otherwise then I am really struggling with feelings of inadequacy again, because I'm like, I'm doing this, it's not working. And it feels great to watch out and say, God, how do you want to use this? So this seems to be a really good fit, where I'm going and selling my books at events, if any of your listeners just happen to be listening. And I like to speak. I like to speak. I love to just speak to groups, groups of women, and I like to look at their faces. I like to interact. I love to give them the hope, start giving them the tools. I've done a couple fun things like I said, I'm really just starting the book club and just getting it off the ground. I have one going right now where the women are having a lot of, I think they're finding out it's great. I love that the women, they're all, each one seems to be just the right personality. There's the one that's more outspoken. There's the one that's struggling and just, she's very real, and raw. And there's the one that's more the encourager. And so I'm really enjoying getting those off the ground. And so that's still on the horizon, seeing how that evolves. And then I'm doing some fun little projects. I brought this, but I'm doing stickers. I'm putting them on book table. I have this little sticker here, the Shine in Who You Are sticker. I have
Mhm,
just for fun, just for something fun, because I
mhm.
want people to have some of the messages of things that have helped me. This one is lean in. Because I really believe when we're going through things, we want to lean in. It's a woman leaning into the storm, and this one says, drink in the rain. It's kind of small, but because I feel like God is giving to us all the time. But a lot of times when we're focused on something else, like our standards and our expectations for ourselves, and we miss how He's trying to give us what we need. So giving us an abundance. So those are some of the things I think are coming up on the horizon.
I love it. I love it. So if somebody wanted to book I don't know what you call it, discovery call, coffee chat, somebody wanted to book time with you, how would they find you?
There's two ways. One, there is a link on my website that will take you to my scheduling app. And even if it looks like you're setting an appointment, you're like, uh-oh, it just go on there and schedule on the scheduling app. But it's always easy just to shoot me an email and I'll respond and we can set up some time.
Wonderful. Okay, I'll leave you with one last question, Kat. If you had any words of wisdom or encouragement to leave our viewers with today, what would that be?
I think that what I would want to say is to make sure you pay attention to what's going on inside. We all get busy. We all get distracted. I just spent 2 weeks with my grandkids. I know it seemed like I couldn't think about anything else. So I know that. Um, but pay attention to what's going inside and those inner battles, and know that it is worth fighting some of those lies that you might be believing. It really is worth fighting that, and and to believe in yourself. I think that's the other thing. To believe in the goodness of God, in His generosity, His gentleness. so that you can believe in yourself more and you can shine in who you are, just stepping out and saying, okay, I'm going to be who I am. It may not look like someone else. It may not be as what I think is as great as someone else, but even if all I can do is pray, that I'm going to shine in that. So that's what I would leave people with.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing your heart, your skills, and your vulnerability with us today. It's been awesome having you here in the You Are Worthy Network, Kat.
Thank you for having me. I've really enjoyed being here. I've enjoyed talking to you and having this opportunity.
You're a treasure. I appreciate you so much. Guys, before we sign off, I just want to put on your radar, because I had a post about this not too terribly long ago. We are working on our first roundtable discussion within the network. We have all the panelists ready, and we have our topic. I'll go ahead and tell you the topic. It's going to be Embrace Your Worth. Should be a fascinating conversation. And I won't tell you who the panelists are yet, but I will tell you that they're four of our previous guests. So stay tuned for who they're going to be. And we're trying to figure out a date. As you know, working out five people's schedules is not always easy in this busy world, but it's in the works. Look forward to bringing that to you soon. This is my favorite time because I get to remind you that you are worthy. Whatever you went through in the past, you never want to minimize that. You probably didn't feel very worthy, but you were. In God's eyes, you were. And whatever you're praying for now or waiting for something to happen now, you're worthy before it even gets there. And God's not done with your story yet. I appreciate each one of you here. I appreciate you, Kat. You guys have a great afternoon, great weekend. Got another interview tomorrow afternoon. Stay tuned. God bless everybody.